The distress beacon pierced through the quantum foam like a dying scream. Elsa's fingers danced across the holographic display aboard the Tenacious, her ice-blue eyes narrowing as she decoded the transmission. The message was simple, desperate, and fading fast.
"Nick, we've got an SOS from the Valorian colony on Kepler 442b, she called out, her voice cutting through the hum of the ship's engines.
Multiple ships down. They're under attack. Nick emerged from the engine bay, wiping grease from his calloused hands. His jaw tightened as he processed the information. Humans had only been part of the Galactic Council for 3 standard cycles. But they'd learned quickly that the universe was far from peaceful. "How far?" he asked. 2 light jumps. 40 minutes if we push the engines. Push them. The Valorians were a peaceful species, tall, crystalline beings who communicated through light patterns and had contributed more to galactic art and philosophy than any other race. They had no military, no weapons, nothing but their cultural achievements and their trust in the Council's protection. That trust, Elsa thought bitterly, was clearly misplaced. The Tenacious shuddered as it dropped out of hyperspace above Kepler 442b. What greeted them was carnage. 17 Valorian civilian transports hung dead in orbit, their crystal hulls fractured and dark. Surrounding them like sharks was an armada of Krigzath warships, angular, brutal vessels designed for one purpose: conquest. 37 enemy ships, Elsa reported, her voice steady despite the odds. 7 destroyer class, the rest are corvettes and fighters. They're harvesting the survivors. Nick's knuckles whitened on the control yoke. The Krigzath were known slavers, a species that had rejected the Council centuries ago and now preyed on its weaker members. They were strong, with exoskeletons that could withstand small arms fire and a militaristic culture that gloried in domination. They had never fought humans before. "Broadcast on all channels," Nick said quietly. "Tell them they have one chance to withdraw." Elsa hesitated for only a moment before complying. The response came quickly, a guttural laugh and a barrage of plasma fire that splashed harmlessly against the Tenacious's shields. "Their mistake," Nick muttered. What the Krigzath didn't understand, what most of the galaxy didn't understand, was that humans came from a death world. Earth wasn't just dangerous. It was a crucible that had forged its dominant species in fire, ice, predators, and prey. Humans had climbed their way up from the bottom of the food chain, through sheer, bloody-minded stubbornness. The Tenacious wasn't a military vessel by galactic standards. It was a frontier survey ship, designed for long-range exploration. But Nick and Elsa had made modifications. Many modifications. "Elsa, give me the Valkyrie protocol." She grinned, a fierce expression that would have terrified most species. Her fingers flew across the controls and the ship's hull split open in a dozen places, revealing weapons that no survey ship should possess. Railguns, missile pods, directed energy weapons reverse-engineered from 3 different alien technologies and improved with human ingenuity. The Krigzath Armada never saw it coming. The first railgun slug hit a destroyer amidships at 0.3% the speed of light. The kinetic energy alone was apocalyptic. The destroyer didn't explode. It simply ceased to exist in any meaningful form, transformed into an expanding cloud of superheated plasma and metal vapor. "One down," Elsa said calmly, already acquiring the next target. The Krigzath finally understood they were in a fight. Their formation broke as ships scattered, trying to bring their superior numbers to bear. But the Tenacious moved like nothing they'd ever encountered. Violent, unpredictable course changes that would have liquefied most species under the G-forces. Humans, with their redundant circulatory systems and ridiculous endurance, barely noticed. Nick threw the ship into a barrel roll that brought them under a corvette's firing arc. Elsa didn't miss. 3 missiles launched, each with a yield that made the Krigzath weapons look like firecrackers. The corvette broke apart, its crew dead before they could scream. "Elsa, how many Valorians are still alive?" She split her attention between weapons and sensors. "Scanning. I'm reading life signs on 4 of the transports. Maybe 300 survivors total. Then we buy them time." What followed was a masterclass in Deathworlder combat doctrine. The Krigzath fought like they always had, with numerical superiority, coordinated volleys, and the assumption that their enemy would retreat when faced with overwhelming force. Humans didn't retreat. The Tenacious dove into the center of the Armada, shields flaring as plasma fire washed over them. Nick pushed the ship through maneuvers that violated every safety protocol ever written, while Elsa made every shot count. Railgun slugs, missiles, laser arrays that cut through Krixath armor like paper. But it was more than just weapons. It was the way they fought. Humans had spent millennia perfecting warfare, turning it into a dark art. They understood tactics, psychology, and the simple, brutal truth that sometimes the only way to protect the innocent was to become something terrifying. A destroyer moved to cut them off. Nick didn't evade. He accelerated directly toward it, a game of chicken played at relativistic speeds. The Krixath captain flinched first, their destroyer turning aside. Elsa put a railgun slug through their engine core as they exposed their flank. 2 destroyers left, she reported. But we're down to 30% shields. Good enough. The Krixath admiral finally made the call to retreat. Of the 37 ships that had attacked the Valorians, only 14 limped away into hyperspace. The rest were debris, cooling metal in the void. Nick brought the Tenacious alongside the surviving Valorian transports. Within minutes, they'd established communication. The crystalline beings flickered with patterns of gratitude and disbelief. How? Asked their leader, the light pattern translated by the ship's computer. 2 humans against an armada? Elsa looked at Nick and they shared a tired smile. Where we come from, Nick said, an armada is just a target-rich environment. As the Tenacious escorted the Valorians to safety, word of the battle spread through quantum link across the galaxy. The Deathworlders, humanity, had answered an SOS and done the impossible. The Galactic Council would debate the implications for years. But in the void of space, among the wreckage of Krixath arrogance, the message was clear. Humanity had arrived, and the universe would never be the same. End.